Today's learning module is about writing a clear overview, which is an important feature of the task achievement category in Task 1 in the IELTS Academic Writing Test. We have 3 learning objectives in this module. Our first learning goal is that by the end of this unit, you'll be able to explain the difference between an overview and a task description, which is something many test takers are not clear on. Second, by the end of this module, you'll be able to identify the main elements of what the IELTS public version band descriptors call a clear overview. Finally, and most importantly, by the end of this session, you will be able to write a clear overview, which, as we'll learn, is a key difference between scoring Band 5, Band 6, or Band 7 in writing Task 1 of the IELTS Academic Test. So let's get started. If you find Task 1 of the IELTS Academic Writing Test difficult, you are not alone. I once coached a native speaker of English, a medical doctor, who was born, raised, and educated in Canada, and an expert in her area of scientific medical research. We will call her Emily. This is not her real name, nor is this her real photo. Emily intended to apply for a postdoctoral medical research fellowship in the United Kingdom, so, just like everyone else from outside the UK, she was told she would need an IELTS score as proof of her English language ability. She wrote to the institution and said, "Hey, I'm a native speaker of English. All my education from primary school through to medical school has been in English-speaking Canada. Do I really need to show you I can speak and write in English?" The institution replied and said, "Sorry, there are no exceptions. We need to see proof of at least Band 7.5 in all 4 parts of the IELTS academic test." So Emily reluctantly registered for the IELTS exam, and given that she was a native speaker and highly educated, didn't bother to prepare beforehand. When she received the results 10 days later, she was shocked to see her scores. Band 9 in speaking, Band 9 in listening, Band 9 in reading, and Band 7 in writing. How could this be? Well, what Emily didn't know was that there are elements of the scoring for writing that are not directly related to language ability. They're related to knowledge and understanding of the particular task. This is the case in both Task 1 and Task 2 of the IELTS Academic Writing Test, but especially so in Task 1. As we'll see in our next slide, there are 4 parts to how the examiner rates your writing, and each of those account for 25% of your score. The organization you use in your writing, the accuracy of your grammar, and the way you use up vocabulary each make 25%. But the final 25% is how well you completed the task. As Emily found out, native speaker grammar, perfect spelling, and flawless organization were not enough. She's missed something in the task that's very important in getting a high score: a clear overview. In this slide, we can see the public version of the IELTS band descriptors. The writing examiner who will mark your writing has more detail than this, which they refer to when rating your Task 1, but the public version is very instructive for us. These are available on the official IELTS website, IELTS.org, so I recommend that every test taker go there and print a copy to make sure you understand how your writing will be rated. You'll note that there are 4 categories of scoring, and that each of them account for 25% of your total Task 1 writing band score. To be awarded a particular band level, your writing must meet all of the positive criteria for that level. In this example here, this test taker used organization in their writing that rated them a band 7. They used vocabulary that was awarded band 7 and used grammar characteristic of band 7. However, with task achievement, the first category on the left, they did not meet all the positive criteria for band 7, nor even of band 6, and so they were scored band 5. Since each of these 4 categories are worth 25%, their total score fell to the average, 6.5, despite having band 7 grammar, band 7 vocabulary, and band 7 organization. So in the next slide, we'll look more closely at task achievement, the category on the left. You'll see that this test taker scored 6.5, not because of his or her written language, which was awarded a band 7, but because of matters related to the nature of the task. You can see that I've highlighted in yellow some of the parts of the task achievement category. Well, let's take a close-up look at those highlighted parts. This is a close-up of the criteria for Band 5, Band 6, and Band 7, the task achievement category we saw on the previous slide. Remember, you must meet all of the positive criteria in a particular band in order to be awarded that band score. I've circled a key word in each level, the word overview. If you meet all of the other criteria for that band, but you don't have an overview, you'll receive a band 5. If you provide an overview, but not a clear overview, you'll be awarded a band 6. If you want a band 7 in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, you'll need to provide a clear overview. So as we can see, being able to write a clear overview is very critical in Task 1. So what makes a clear overview? I think we should do some practice to begin with. I would like you to pause the video here, take some paper and a pen or pencil, and study this graph. The data here presents information on the number of males and females studying in Britain in 3 periods of time, and whether they were studying full-time or studying part-time. This example of Task 1 is publicly available at IELTStestcanada.com. So, put the video on pause at this point and take about 3 to 4 minutes to write what you think is a clear overview of this graph. When you're finished, click play, and you can compare what you've written with what an examiner might consider to be a clear overview. Pause the video and do that now. Did you find it difficult to write a clear overview? If so, don't feel bad. Dr. Emily, who we talked about in slide 2, also had a lot of difficulty writing an overview. In fact, she missed an overview altogether, which of course made a big difference to her overall writing score for Task 1. We should always begin by looking at the publicly available band descriptors for Task 1. You can see those in the top right of the slide, and here we can see the descriptors for the task achievement category at a band 7. Remember, the task achievement category in the public descriptors was the category on the left. The band descriptors actually tell us what a clear overview looks like. Look at the words I've underlined in yellow. A clear overview of main trends, differences, or stages. A clear overview includes at least one of those things. Which one? Well, it depends on the type of diagram that's presented. If it's a process, like how plastic is made in a factory, for example, you will need to describe stages in your overview. In this case, our graph describes both trends and differences. It shows the differences between numbers of males and females, and it shows trends, increasing or decreasing. So I've written one possibility for an overview in this example. As an overview, we can see that the number of full-time students of both genders increased during this period. In contrast, the number of males studying part-time declined from its peak in 1971, while the number of female part-time students rose steadily. My example has described both a trend, an overall increase, and a difference. Males studying part-time declined, while females studying part-time showed a steady increase. You'll notice that my example actually used the word overview. I coached Dr. Emily to use the word overview. A test taker could begin this sentence by saying, a main trend is, or an important difference is, but I recommend that you use the actual word overview so that you are making it very, very clear to the examiner that you've provided one. Because a clear overview is necessary to score a band 7, why make the examiner guess whether you've given an overview? My opinion is that you should make it very clear to the examiner by actually using the word overview. I want to talk about a common mistake that test takers make in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. Test takers often think they're writing an overview when what they're actually doing is writing a description of the diagram or chart. It's common for test takers to begin Task 1 by basically restating the question. When I began to coach Dr. Emily on writing Task 1, I realized she was doing this. Instead of writing a clear overview, she was just repeating what the diagram was about, often lifting her words directly from the actual Task 1 question. Take a look at the text box in the bottom right corner. The task prompt, that's another way to say the question, says, the chart shows the number of men and women in further education in Britain in 3 periods of time and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. Dr. Emily took this prompt and repeated it almost word for word. In the box at the top right, you'll see there are red brackets drawn around Dr. Emily's sentence. That's because these words are drawn directly from the task question, and so they are not included in her word count. Remember, you must write 150 words in Task 1, and the examiner actually counts your words. Yes, it's true. If you're under 140 words, you'll receive a penalty. So, if Dr. Emily wrote only 150 words total and then received a penalty because these 26 words, the words highlighted in brackets, are not her own words but lifted directly from the question, she's actually only written 124 total words and would receive a penalty of -1 on task achievement. Dr. Emily's really in trouble now. She didn't provide a clear overview. That means she's already at band 5 for the task achievement category. And she receives a penalty for writing only 124 words because 26 words are not her own. She is now down to band 4 in the task achievement category. So as you can see, describing the diagram is not the same as giving a clear overview. So does this mean you should not describe the diagram at all? That's the question we'll address in our next slide. Actually, I recommend that you do describe the diagram in the very first sentence of writing task 1, but that you do so in your own words. In the text box in the top right corner, you can see how I've paraphrased the task prompt. I've described the diagram, but I've done so using my own words. The words or phrases that are highlighted in yellow are synonyms. For example, I've substituted the word chart with bar graph, or periods of time with decades, since the diagram showed 3 10-year time frames. In other cases, I've kept the same words but varied the sentence structure, and those are shown in brown. For instance, the singular form of number becomes plural, numbers. Britain, the noun, is changed to its adjective form, British. And studying full-time or part-time becomes part-time and full-time studies. Sometimes we can't change the words if we want to keep the meaning intact. So in those cases, we can change sometimes the form of the word or vary the structure of the sentence. So after you've paraphrased the question, I recommend that your second sentence be that clear overview we've been talking about. And again, actually using the word overview to make sure the examiner is clear you've actually provided one. In summary, by using the strategies we've talked about in this short explainer video, Dr. Emily and you can avoid being penalized in the task achievement category of IELTS Academic Writing Task 1.